Hey, in this video today I'm going to compare the Incredibles franchise to the Inside Out franchise. In both cases we have only two movies. First of all, when we look at the highest score for each franchise, the first Incredibles movie has the highest score of 97%, with Inside Out franchise, the first movie has the highest score of 98%, so Inside Out wins, but by only one. It's really impressive that in both cases the score is really high. Then when we look at the lowest score for each franchise, lowest score is still great because of Incredibles franchise. Incredibles 2 has the lowest score and it's still a 93%. With Inside Out franchise, Inside Out 2 is the lowest score and it still has a 91%. So Incredibles 2 wins by literally only 2. So we're tied right now at 1-1. Next, when we look at the average score for each franchise, Incredibles has an average score of 95, Inside Out average score of 94.5. So Incredibles wins, but only barely, only by 0.5. Next, when we look at how much of a disparity is there between the lowest and highest score, with Incredibles, only a gap of 4, very impressive. And with Inside Out, only a gap of 7. Wow. Oof. Both franchises are very consistent right now. Incredibles wins only barely because the gap is just a little bit lower. So the Incredibles franchise is going to win this debate no matter what because it's already won 3 of the rounds. But finally, let's look at my personal opinion. And frankly, deciding which franchise is better is pretty tricky for me because I love both of these franchises. I think both of them have put out two movies that are great. When it comes to first Incredibles movie, I've always felt that Syndrome's origin and motivation is pretty standard stuff because this guy starts off as Buddy Pine, who's a fanboy of Mr. Incredibles. Then he gets rejected by Mr. Incredible, and thus he gets angry, wants revenge, and so Buddy Pine changes himself into Syndrome. This kind of villain origin and motivation, former fanboy rejected by the hero becomes a supervillain. We've seen it before several other times. This is what you saw in Batman Forever with the Riddler. You see this in Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Electro. You see this in Iron Man 3 with Aldrich Killian. So that's one thing that I don't really like about the first Incredibles movie. I think the actor gives a good performance. The character's entertaining to watch, but his origin and motivation feel pretty generic to me. Other than that, I really don't have any other problems with Incredibles. When it comes to Incredibles 2, I like the villain of Screenslaver. Is the twist here pretty obvious? Yeah, I'll agree that you can pretty easily see it coming in advance. I mean, when you have a character that's named that has a name that very much sounds like Evil Endeavor. I mean, you have the two Dever siblings, Winston Dever and then Evelyn Endeavor. So you have a character that's named Evelyn Dever. That sounds a whole lot like Evil Endeavor. Combine that with the fact that you just get this feeling like there's no way at all that Winston is the villain here. There's no way. He just comes off as such a good guy and such a fan of the heroes. There's no way he'd be working to undermine them. So who could it be? Oh, yeah, it just has to be Evelyn. There's no one else who it could possibly be. So, yeah, I thought the twist was very heavily telegraphed, but that's really the only problem I have with Incredibles 2. I mean, when it comes to Inside Out, I really can't think of anything wrong with the two movies. I can't think of anything. Even if I put on my overly critical, overly analytical, nitpicky hat, I can't think of anything wrong with those movies. I know that the how it should have ended video for Inside Out makes the point that, hey, why didn't Joy just send the memories up to headquarters for that too? But it actually makes sense, frankly, if you think about where Joy was at that point in time in the first Inside Out film. At first, Joy doesn't want the memories to change at all. She's protective of the core memories. She wants them to stay happy. So at the time, it's pretty clear to me that she was thinking, well, I can't possibly send the core memories up to headquarters right now because they'll be contaminated by the other emotions. I don't want that. So I look at Inside Out, I don't think that there's any plot holes. I don't think there's any instances where a character just blatantly does something stupid. I don't think there's anything in there that either feels contrived or convenient. I can't think of any bad visuals. I think the music is great. The characters are interesting. Stories are engaging in both movies. So I think at the end of the day, I actually do have to pick Inside Out. Actually, Incredibles is going to win this debate, but I prefer the Inside Out franchise, frankly, because I don't have any problems with either movies. Whereas with Incredibles, in both cases, there's one thing that I can think of that I don't like. So that'll be it for this video. Bye, everyone.